YouTube doesn't have the same problems it had a few minutes ago or earlier today. And popping open the chat. No fuss, but yeah. Right as I got the chat popped out. Oh! Do you have to throw yourself at my neck like that? For those who are watching on YouTube after the fact, don't forget, like, subscribe, bell icon, and the cubic photon is magic miniature making machine. You insane little furball. Yes, I know you love me, but I gotta put you down, okay? I gotta set you on the floor. Now, come on. Ah! Earlier today, I started a figure that was actually a bit more detailed than I expected. And so on tonight's second episode, we're actually going to finish it up. Okay. Just waiting for people to say hello. Yeah, so we know we're there. Or we know they're there. They're there. Yeah. Oh. So, Tuesday, I'll be making a somewhat slender Lizard Man Monk. One of the characters in the game I'm in on Wednesdays. And hello, TJ. I have to apologize for this afternoon, the earlier broadcast this afternoon. I mean, the YouTube was going nuts. It ended up with the sound and video completely just off sync, especially at the very end. Why do I still have my green stuff out? I don't know. Okay. There we go. Scritchy, scritchy. Okay. So anyway, yeah, here in just a few minutes, I'm going to be starting the second half of sculpting this figure. It's a quite detailed Druid Ranger figure. While I'm sitting here, I need to double check to see if there's anything that is not yet in the file vault that should be. So, meshes, free sculpt minis, Patreon, new. Oh yeah, the Triton. Derp. Let me go ahead and enter. What was his name again? Xerves. Anyway, so I have quite a bit left to do, up to and including, further detailing on the on all the clothing. Oh, excuse me. And then I've got to do the hair, I've got to detail the weapons. I've got to detail quite a bit. And then OBJ format. And STL format. Okay, we've got the Triton Xerves up on the file vault. And we're kind of waiting on Emilio to show up because this is his figure we're sculpting. It's a little early, but actually it's just now 8 o'clock. Actually, let me go ahead and at least show you where we're at with this sucker. Okay, so, hey, it worked that time. This is the figure. I have to admit, I really do not like the weapons he's holding, not in terms of the quality, but in terms of what they are. It's a personal distaste for this particular type of blade. And we need to detail them a little. And then we need to turn this bow until it looks like it's made out of a pair of dragon bones stuck on a handle. Maybe add some detail to the quiver. I have to make some kneecaps. I have to turn the base bracer here into where it looks almost like leather. And then, just so I can show you what I'm talking about for this, the piece that drapes over the shoulder and the sleeve over here need to be made to look like scales. Then we're going to give a little bit of muscle to the areas of the shoulder and arm that are visible. And make it a little, make it clear that he's actually a fighter type. And then make with the hair. Yeah, so it's quite a bit left to do on him. Huh. To be totally honest, I hate that weapon. Because, simply put, it's not a viable weapon. Almost any technique that would strike, when you rotate the wrist to strike, the back of the blade comes and stabs you in the back of the arm or in the torso. And trying to do it with two of them, it's not a feasible weapon. Not at all. And if you twist the wrist so that it goes so that the back end goes past your arm, you've broken the line of the wrist and you've got no power. It's even worse, somehow, than a bat'leth. Because the bat'leth at least can be used to attack without hurting you. Hello, Emilio! I'm just complaining about warglaives. Okay. So, now that you're here, we can go ahead and, like I said, get into the actual... didn't do as well this time. Finishing up with the figure. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and... let's hide the base. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do a little bit of detailing work on the bracers here before I go back in and make the kneecaps and then start adding in scales and wrinkles and stuff like that. And of course I can't forget to detail those hands, because right now they're Play-Doh hands. Okay, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start off with the clay build-up brush and the round alpha. Yes, I like the round alpha far better than the square alpha. Square alpha is great for getting it to look like clay, but to actually do what we want it to do, I need it the smaller brush. Now, what's going to happen is we're just going to kind of build up like that. And then there's just a little drawing an X between and then now what we're going to do Since this is supposed to be smooth leather, leather does not bend as sharply as cloth does. But we're still going to use the slash tool. And let's turn off lazy mouse. Drop it down quite a bit. But we're going to make it big. I'm going to kind of draw in some of this. No, that looks bad. We're only going to draw in from the center. And then a little separation there and there. And there and there. That gives us a nice, more of a flexible material look, rather than, or at least quilted, rather than the rigid look that we had before. Okay, that was just to get that done. And now we're going to make kneecaps. Now the way we're going to make them, once again we're going to go back. I'm only going back to the standard brush because I already have a smaller brush here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this side, but first bring it here, and then there. No. That's much. I didn't have it at the right angle because I needed to have it a little bit more like that. Okay, that's about right. Now we're going to do this one. No, we're not. We need to kind of tilt it back this way a bit. Okay. Then, actually, let's go ahead and make this bigger. Oh, there. Okay. Now, we're going to extract at 0.02, except draw, and then we're going to select him again, him again, and then draw to get rid of the masking. Okay, so frame out, and then we're going to geometry. We're going to Dynamesh it at 256. And then we're going to divide a couple times. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use orb cracks. Was it orb cracks that I used? Oh no, I remember what it was. It was standard with Alpha 35, and it was big enough that at full size it's about half of the thing. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to start from here. Okay, first of all, no lazy mouse. Second of all, let's increase the intensity. No, that's not it. That's not how I did it. What did I do? I did it on an orc earlier. I'm trying to remember how I did it. I think I did it with slash with a reduced focal shift and a much larger size. No, I didn't. That wasn't it. Was it orb cracks? Much larger size. No. No, that wasn't it. I'm trying to remember how I made this on another figure. Could it have been inflate with the Alpha 35? No. No, that wasn't it. Anyway, well, this is working for what we're doing, so we're just gonna refine it later. Okay. And okay, now we're gonna slash subtract very low. Make that focal shift back out. Draw size smaller, and we're just going to draw on. Oh. Bring it around this way. You can see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make that wrinkle on top of the knee. And I'm also going to shrink this and kind of smooth out that. Okay. And that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to sharpen the wrinkle on top of the knee. Because that's how armor is. It's sharp where it needs to be the most protective. Actually, let's go real quick. Let's hit inflate. We're going to inflate right here, just to emphasize that. Now back to slash. Okay, we need to pull it down a bit. And then down and across. Okay, frame out. Now, before I start sculpting on scales, I need to ask you a question, Emilio. Okay, oh, so what you're saying is it's actual full shin armor? I wish you could send me that revised image. Okay, do you want me to go ahead and drop these? Just, Carlton, no! You know better than to jump on the Wacom. No, no, buddy. Okay. So I'm gonna hide them rather than drop them. Okay, now. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to standard, shrink it, turn off alpha just because, and we're going to draw on that kind of pointy top to the boot. Well, to the second boot. We're going to make this a bit more detailed when we're going to sharpen the bits. Okay, so we're going to kind of come down like that. Come down there. And come down there. And come down there. Okay. Bring this down. Now again, I'm going to be asking you some things that obviously are not in the picture. Something I think would make sense. On these outer boots, do you want me to add in some lacing up the back? You know, because obviously there's no back view of those boots. Okay. So no lacing up the back, just boots. Okay. Now. Okay, and then bring this down. So I'm going to make a nice sharp corner here again. And then bring this down to there. And nice sharp corner. Then I'm going to bring this down almost to the ankle. Okay. I'm going to sharpen the top of the front spike on this one, because it hasn't been done yet. Actually, I need to bring it up a little. I'm just going to go up like that. There we go. Frame. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to extract the same way we did before because it's the right size. Except draw. Make the kneecaps visible and just long enough to delete them. And now here we're going to Dynamics 256. Then I'm going to use the move tool to grab this one and move it out a bit because, yeah, shrink it a little bit and straighten it out. Okay. Now, make that bigger. Bring this, bring that up all the way. Focal shifted, yeah. Okay. Okay. Then shrink the mouse and start to very lightly go over. Whoop! Very lightly go over the areas that it just to kind of bring it in a bit. Okay, that's actually very similar, right? What I'm doing right now to how it's done on a hand sculpted miniature instead of a 3D printed one. You'd put on a layer of putty, cut it into the shape of the outfit you want, and then you blend in the bottom. Okay, we're gonna merge down. Cancel. No, not cancel yet, because I gotta do one other thing. I need to subdivide it a couple times. Yeah, that should be good. There. Because we need it nice and smooth. Okay, now shrink this and rattle can the smooth. And down here. In case, if you don't know what I mean by rattle can, it's because I'm making a reference that I often use in chat. And that's the difference between using a mouse and a tablet for ZBrush is like the difference between using a rattle can, you know, the classic spray can, and an airbrush for painting. And so the mouse is the rattle can, the tablet is the airbrush. Okay, so we got the boot done. I don't think I'm going to need, the hair, but that comes last. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to hide these extra bits, and I'm going to start working on scaling. And the way I'm going to do this is very simply, I'm just going to use an alpha, because it would actually take longer for me to do these scales the way I have been doing scales in the past. Plus, this is Dragonhide. It's lost some scales from the battle. So, nope. Standard scale. Drag dot. Okay. Alpha. Split vertical. Okay, that's about the size I need. I need a higher intensity. Oh wait. Shrink, geometry, divide, delete lower. No, that scale doesn't work. Okay. That scale's too large. So what we're going to do, you're going to see me make an alpha. So to do that, I'm opening Photoshop CS3. Yes, CS3. I won it back in about 2007 or 8, whenever it was the lead one. And haven't updated since, yet again. .512 by 512. Okay. Fit on screen. Fill with black. Now, edit, preferences, guides, grid, slices, and counters. Okay, that's a good one. View, show, grid. Now, the reason why I'm doing a grid is very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make okay, excellent. Now I hit caps lock and I get just a cursor instead of the mouse. So we're going to bring it over to here, click there. Okay, that's not big enough. So let's say 950. Okay, now I'm going to select the half over here. Oh, wait a minute, no. Edit, transform, flip vertical, no. Edit, transform, flip horizontal. And then what? Why is it not wanting to go up? There we go. Okay, actual size. Okay, now what's going to happen is we're going to go to the middle, delete, and we're going to go to the middle here. Go down a layer and delete. E. And all. Copy V. We have a shield shape. So what we're going to do is there. View, show, grid. Turn that off. Now, no, we don't. No, we still need it. View, show, grid. Go up a level, and we're going to do a gradient. And we're going to go from the center out. to about there. Multiply. Okay, and then now we're going to turn the grid off. And then we're going to gradient, but we're going to the regular. And here we're going to go from here to there. Multiply. And look, we got a pointy scale. Just some very basic tools in Photoshop. We're going to save this. 3D printing home, meshes, resculpt minis, alphas. And this is going under bitmap because a bitmap's easier to deal with in ZBrush. Pointy scale. Okay. Now we're going to close it. Go back to ZBrush. Actually come in and close this. There. Now, we're going to import pointy scale, alpha, flip vertical. Okay, now actually, I forgot one thing to do. I forgot to give it a blur. So, open the pointy scale. Get on screen. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur 2. Save. Close. Now, import pointy scale. It's a bit smoother, but as we can see, that's too high, so we need to cut this from 60 down to about 45. Notice that it's not linear. The intensity, that is. Okay. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just gonna smooth out the back edge of them. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, drop it down one. Because the wrist is getting narrower, so the scales will be getting less common. And as we place these, we can just simply get them in. Whoop. Get them in order. Nope. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to start with them a little bit bigger on the torso piece, because you want the larger scales on your torso so that you can be better protected. Actually, let's increase the size of the Scales, because now we're getting to, again, a thicker part thanks to the upper arm. And we're kind of spiraling now, instead of actually following a set offset, which is okay. Spirals are natural in nature. Shrink this a little and come up here and here. Frame. Okay, now let me get soda. Okay, so we have scales on that sleeve. Now we're going to start on the chest piece. I made it bigger, and we're going to have a scale down here, a scale here. Whoops. We're also going to get off the pattern here because whoops, that one didn't go there. That one was dropped. Now, since this is natural, we don't have a natural thing instead of manufactured scale. We don't have to make it exact and perfect. So we're kind of just drawing them on as we see fit. We're also going to be doing something to these scales here in a bit that will be kind of weird. But trust me, it'll work. To be exact, it'll make it print better. Also, Emilio, I forgot. I probably know this already, but I've got to ask: are you using an FDM or a resin printer? We need to kind of bring them. Okay, I'll do them this way so that they can rotate and change direction. There we go. The photon. Okay. Alright. Well, the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to get the inflate tool. We're going to shrink it down. We're going to turn off the alpha and shrink the mouse. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and very gently brush over the tip of each scale. It's going to make it look less like leaves and more like scales. It's also going to make it a bit more exaggerated when it comes time to print. I will say that looking at it now, I probably should have made the scale a little bit stronger because it's probably going to not really show up that well when it comes time to paint. You're going to need to be kind of careful, basically. Okay. And just to make sure the belt shows up. Yeah, we did not poke through the belt with those scales. I'm not going to put that on yet. because now it's time to give him some musculature. And we're going to start off with the slash tool, subtract intensity 8. And what we're going to do is we're going to first draw on the divisors for some of these muscles, and then hit a slight smooth just to, oh yeah, that's what I thought. Zoom in, make them mouse smaller, and then zoom over, because I don't want to accidentally hit the edge. Okay. There, and then hit down here. And then kind of come up this way. Okay. Come back this way. And okay, now we're going to use clay buildup really large, really weak. Just kind of build up the actual muscle there and give it shape. Not enough to make him look like a warrior, but enough to make him look like he's out in the... Make him look like he's strong enough to use those weapons of his, but also look like someone who's probably more often spending time doing things that are more endurance based, you know. More of a CrossFit guy than a power lifter. And then from here, okay, frame out. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. Now it's time to start playing with wrinkles, which means bring this intensity up again and bring this down, and we're going to draw on our wrinkles. Also, we're going to auto mask, so backface mask for smooth, so we can smooth out that. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm going to shrink this down and draw on the basic wrinkles here. Okay. And these are basically going to be like starburst patterns, because that's how they kind of form in this type of bend. And we're going to smooth on top of these wrinkles. Now the ones back here, we're going to be drawing diamonds, because that's what happens to these wrinkles is they end up, that's too big. Okay, so because if you look at some of these wrinkles, if they've been, it's something like the crotch of your jeans or the back of your knee, when you get a chance to look at them, you'll see that they kind of, anywhere that wrinkles permanently for a good amount ends up getting that look. Okay, we're gonna, okay, and then okay. Then going to slash, intensity of 12. And we're going to go underneath the top one on all of these. Oh, that went through this up. A very faint smooth just to, yeah. And then just a slash this way, slash that way. And then just smooth. Then we're going to, oh no, then we're going to do the one over here. And this is also very simple. We're just going to come under that one, under that one, and then under that one, and under that one. And then we're going to smooth that out. Then we're going to add, drop it down to 8. I'm going to draw the underside of these wrinkles. Unlike what we did for the bracer, this is softer material. You're going to get more of the wrinkly bit angling the way cloth does, even though it's not technically cloth. It's more of like a soft dough hide from what it looked like. And yes, I have worked with leather in the past. I'm not say I was a master, but I have assembled leather armor types in the past. Physical, real world. I'm not much on engraving, or not engraving, but in tooling the leather. But assembling leather armor, I've done a decent amount. Okay, so we're... Let's frame out. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to clay build up again. We're going to add in some wrinkles on the front of the ankles and the top of the back of the ankles and the top of the toes. Okay. And it's going to be similar to what we did with the and then we're gonna smooth over the tops and then kind of bring them out, and then out, and then we're gonna smooth over it. Alright. And then we're going back to our slash, sub 12, or 13 will do. Go under there, under there, under there, and under there, and then a little bit here. 7 will do, because this is a smaller. And now on the toes, we're going to be a bit more abstract. We're just going to draw on a couple lines. And add some bending to them. There. These are to make them look like actual boots and not like, you know, concrete cement. Why did I say concrete cement? I don't know. I was being goofy! Yeah! And this is going to be a radial wrinkle. And once again, we're going to smooth the ends of it. And the top of the top one. In this case, top of the top one and the top of right here. And then we're going to slash. And we're going to come under all of these. We're going to add, and we're going to draw in the bottom. Whoop. Add and drop it to 7, and draw under the bottom of all of these. Whoop. And then we're going to draw on a couple lines here. And refine the edges of these wrinkles. There. Now the boots actually look like boots. Okay, so most of the clothing is almost done. So now we got to do some things for the wrinkles on the kilt, and I'm assuming the nice baggy leg trousers, because we're going to make those baggy legs. Clay build up. We're going to increase the size a bit, and we're going to come from back here. Oh. Helps if I have the stylus in the right direction. And we're going to just kind of and then from here we're going to come down like that. There. There and there. Okay. Now slash. Subtract 14. We're going to come under the deepest parts of these wrinkles. which includes up here, because we want to define how they're being created, not just where they are. Then we're going to add, subtract down to 8. Make these edges. Now the reason we're adding edges to these wrinkles is partly because cloth folds that way. Contrary to what you might see in some comic books or some miniatures, including some of my older ones, cloth doesn't magically make loops and whirls unless there's a force acting on it. And even then, it will tend towards sharper bends because cloth has a grain. And because of the way the cloth grain works, it'll tend to make sharper bends. Okay, that's the kilt. Now for the legs. Okay, actually now for a bit more soda. Oh. Ow. Yeah. Always move whenever you can, because otherwise you will start getting, you know, sore. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're not going to worry about the detailed wrinkles here. We're just going to kind of draw on some bagginess using the clay buildup brush. It'll be enough to where it will get the impression that this isn't muscle. This is baggy something. Now this is not skin here. This is something else. That's all we need. Any more and it would actually be lost detail. Okay. That really carries it across. Now, the next thing is hair. It's long hair, combed almost completely over to one side. Okay, I can do that. I'm assuming you mean the bottom boots. Real quick, I'm going to do those. When it comes time for the hair, okay, do you want it all going to his left, which would mean his face is almost completely obscured by both hair and that, or do you want it going to, no, because when you're looking at it, do you want it going to his right so that the face is clearly visible, or his left so that you have to look at it from behind to see the face? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to shrink this. I'm making it go a little bit beyond the join so I can clean it up and sharpen it up. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and do that right now here, because I gotta redo that. Okay. And then sharpen there. Actually, we need to bring this down a bit more. Oh. But like that, and then I can just sharpen that like that, and sharpen there, and then there. Okay, now we're going over to the other leg. Yes. Okay. Like I said, some of these extras are just so I can sharpen them. Like that. Okay, and come around like this. Go away, Bo. Oh. Okay, that's the basic trim. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the corners, actually yeah, let's make the corners into sharp little pieces coming out like talons, like that. It's going to come out from the direction of there. And then There. And there we have what's going to be our trim. How does that look to you? And hello, Omerta! So we're going to extract at 0.01, because this is cloth, not metal. Accept, draw, draw. And then under geometry, we're going to Dynamesh at 768, because we want this as, yeah, there we go. So what do you think? I'm pretty certain that the clothing is done now. Which means it's time to do the hair. And for that, like I said, do you want it draping over the left side like in the picture, in which case his head will be concealed from the front? Or do you want it draping over the right side, in which case it'll be exposed in the front? The thingies, the fingers aren't done yet. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to go ahead and draw on here. We're going to have a little bit of it coming down here. Not a lot, just a little. A couple locks at the most. And then the rest of it coming down the back. Let's turn off the pauldron, because we're going to need that skin. Alright, now it's going to come over the ear. Basically, the ear is going to be poking through the hair, because ears tend to do that, especially long, pointy ones. And then one piece, because of the way it's hanging on that shoulder, one piece is going to come down here. Now what we're going to do, we're going to extract it at 0.02. Accept, draw, draw. And then this is going to Dynamesh at 64. And we're going to subdivide it a few times. And we're going to clay buildup once again. Well, first we're going to build up this area because it's going to go straight. And then we're going to basically draw on the individual locks. Whoop. Okay, and then this is going to go from here. The individual locks are not the individual hairs. We also have to have it a little bit more exaggerated than what was in your picture. Whoop. And for that we're going to need inflate, because of how it's that one and this one. Once we've done that, now we can use slash, starting with subtract and a 16. Or a 17 will do. We're going to draw in our basic bits here. That's clearly growing out from these areas. So it kind of digs in a little. Now this is relatively long and straight, so we're not going to be giving as many waves as we usually would. Okay. Then we're going to go drop it down to 11. And we're going to start drawing in a couple just... Actually, no, we need to do the add first, which is at 8. We're going to draw in the outer edges, the rougher edges of these locks. Smooth out that and kind of go under there. And then come up here. And then here. Okay. Now we're going to subtract at 11. We're going to draw in a couple extra hairlines. To make the hair seem a bit finer. The thing is, we can't get too fine or it won't print. We just want something to emphasize that this is really thin, long, flowy hair. Now, it's not as straight and as kind of sickly looking as in the art, but that's because it would look like a piece of cloth draped over his head. It wouldn't look like hair. We also still need to do a little bit on the side that's facing front down here, just a little bit. So now we go back to the body and shrink. I'm just gonna kind of draw and bring it down, and then delete that. .01. Accept, draw, Dynamesh. Oh, yeah, so. Inflate. And inflate coming down this way. And coming down this way. Then we're going to slash. Let's bring this back up to 16, and we're going to come down about halfway. Add 6 will do. These 12, and then kind of draw on a couple more hairs. Okay, so there's the hair. And now I'm pretty sure that most of what we have left to do is well, we got to refine the face and the hands. Then we got to do the weapons, including the bow. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a small inflate brush. We're going to build up the lower lip, because the lower lip tends to be one that, well, it's thicker in most people. Then we're going to use the slash tool. Bring it up to 14, 15, yeah. And we're going to kind of just draw that mouth a little bit deeper. And that's good enough. And then the ears, we're going to kind of come under and over. We're then going to reduce the intensity and kind of just smooth that out in there. Okay, make it look more like actual ears or humanoid ears and not animal ears. Frame out. Okay, the hands still need to be tweaked. We'll do those after we do the weapons. Does that sound okay to you? Oh, new computer is not even in the offerings for any time soon. Okay, let's start off with these. Subdivide them a couple times. We're going to hide everything else because I need to see what I'm doing with these weapons. Okay, now we're going to polygroups and auto group. What that does is that lets me hide the individual parts that are segment. Okay. Masking, inverse, deformation. We're going to inflate the handles a little bit just to make sure that that's not a weak point right here. So we're going to inflate them just a bit. Okay, and good. Alright. Now we're going to hide him again so we can work on the... Alright. My suggestion would be to have a gem here, here, and then of course on the back sides, and then some kind of swirl engraved in the blade in this area. How does that sound? Okay. If I do two different, then one of them won't have either the slash or the gem. It'll have something different. Let's do the swirls and the gem on this one. Okay. We're gonna put the gems right here. We're gonna be kind of large. We're also going to be separating them from the actual, so that we can make them. Okay, split unmasked points. Then go to here. There. And there. Then we're going to merge all these gems. Move. Yeah. Okay, there we go. And then on the glaive itself, we're going to use the Orb Cracks 2 brush. And shrink it down a bit because we want it to just put a little groove. And then we're going to just draw on. Well, let's make sure that I have back face masking on. No. Because we need to, okay, that's why. We need to increase the resolution just a little bit. Geometry, divide, lower. Also, we're going to reset this brush. Reset current brush. Okay. Now, No. We need to go the other way. Okay. That's good. And then we're going to do it over here. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Oh, wait. Daggum. I forgot that when I reset it, I turned off backface mask. So, that was... Okay. Okay. There. And now on the bottom. Quick, make sure. Okay. Start near here and move up. And start near here and okay, now. Okay, that's that for that one. What do you want for the other one for decoration? Do you want it more grim and dark? Okay, well, the gems are pretty much, at the scale we're working on, they're going to be an oval setting with a cabochon gem. There's really no way to make a faceted gem and make it easy to paint. But the only thing else I can think of to do would be to take a version with no setting and put two of them on. Okay. That's about the only thing else I can think of. And like a large one here. Oh, that's too far out. So we need to go ahead and make sure that we have got our depth at 0. So a large one here. Yes. And a small one here. And then large one there. And a small one there. And then on this side, we do the same thing. A large one here. And a small one here. A large one here. And a small one here. Then grab each of these, merge down. And actually, let's merge them down with the other gems so that we can divide them a couple times. Okay, now as for the engraving on this one, let's see, what would we want? How about this time when we do the cracks, it's going to be it's going to be sticking out. And it's going to be more of what appears to be writing. Now it's going to be elven writing, which means flourish. Shrink. Okay, no, we need to increase the intensity. No, increase the intensity. Oh, there we go. Now the thing is, it'll be different on each one of them, because it's not a pattern; it's writing. Let's bring that up. And then here. Okay. Different gems and different engravings. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to merge them down with the gems, because now the next thing that we have to do is this. My first question on this. Okay. Alright, let's try this. Do you want any kind of detailing done to the bows? To the quiver, rather. Now we're going to take polish, bring that up, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just go over, make it look carved. Oops. And then we gotta bring that in, and then a kind of a Yes, all I'm doing is I'm just using this polish brush. What it does is it takes the angle of whatever polygon you're on when you start, and it kind of tries to flatten towards that plane. Which gives this hard carved edge look. Hand carved edge. It doesn't look like a machine tooled edge. Okay. Then we're going to go in and we're going to the orb cracks brush, and we're going to shrink it a little, and we're going to draw in, actually, let's do this. Masking, inverse, deformation, inflate, a little negative, masking, grow, sharpen. Masking, grow, sharpen. Alright, and then we're gonna smooth a little bit here. Just to make it a little bit clearer. Okay, and then right there needs to be smoothed quite a bit more. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to make this into a different subtool. And then we're going to dynamic, well, first we're going to subdivide it a couple times. Then we're going to dynamesh it 512. And then subdivide it until there. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to rotate to here. I'm gonna, okay, I'm gonna select there, then we're gonna draw on here. It doesn't look great, but don't forget, we're going to be erasing a good bit of it. Like that. And then on the back, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in down here, loop around. And then there. And that's going to be extract a point of 0.015. Make that 0.01. accept, draw, draw. Next thing is, just to make sure which side is which, we're turning the bow on. Okay, that's the side that's going to be visible. We're going to go ahead and put a gem here too. And put it right here. And let's subdivide that a couple times. Another thing that we got to do while I'm thinking about it is we're going to refine the, or use the slash tool, and we're going to refine the division between the arrows here. Well, let me go ahead and turn on lazy mouse for a change. Okay, that's not good enough. There we go. Again, this was something that was originally designed for use with FDM, so some of the detailing can be improved for people like you with the Photon and other resin printers. Okay, now we have the quiver. Now the next thing now, ow! My knee. Yeah. Next thing I would actually suggest, instead of just trim with loops, let's put an elven styled rune of some kind on the back here. How does that sound? I need to get a new soda. This one's running out. We are almost done. To be exact, after we do this, I refine the hands, and he's pretty much done. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's make it like this. We want to try and keep the draconian influence, so we're going to have a crescent that represents the horns. And then actually, I'm going to turn on Lazy Mouse just so that we have... Alright, so... crescent to represent the horns. A swirl to represent the body and tail and head. And actually, let's turn off Lazy Mouse for the head. And then another swirl to represent the wing. But this one comes down. So that represents a dragon. And then we're going to extract, accept, wait, no. We're not going to okay. Accept, draw. Okay. So about the only thing left to do, let's go ahead and make everything visible. Except the base. We don't want the base visible because we're trying to sculpt still. Okay, and now the only thing left to do is to define the hands. Okay, so we gotta go to inflate. It's actually a lot easier than it sounds to define the hands. I've been defining a whole lot of hands recently. We're gonna shrink this down to about the size of the fingers. And a little bit smaller. That'll do. Okay, now we go to, well, let's do it real quick. There. That changes where the pivot point is. Now we're going to increase that intensity to 11. And inflate under the thumb. Especially right here. We're going to smooth it just a little bit. And then a little bit here. Then we do circle, 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 circle in a very slight arc, with the middle finger being the top. And draw, 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 draw. We're going to smooth that out. It's going to be very subtle, but I can promise you it will still catch detail paint. I've lost how many times I've had those tendons end up being mistaken for fingers. Alright, and then we're going to draw on the knuckle there, and then once again, it's going to be a small arc. And Shinju's going for dinner. Then we're going to just brush once over. What this does, this gets rid of the bend in those fingers and makes them actually look like fingers. See? Frame out all the way, and you'll see that, well, let me get up front view. You'll see that the left hand looks a lot more realistic than the right. It's enough to actually add to the realism overall of the figure just for that little change. Alright. I'm gonna do it on this side. Oh, hell. Okay. And then over here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. Now, some of you will notice I do tend to repeat some things when I actually do them. I may have mentioned why I'm doing something in many videos. The many broadcasts. The main reason is because I have no way of knowing if this is someone's first broadcast. And I don't want to confuse them. I have seen videos for other subject matter where the video maker or the broadcaster assumed that it was known what was meant when they made a reference, or that everyone knew why they did something. And the truth is, no, they don't. Okay, now let's frame out. Let's make that base visible. And there we go. Here is our Ranger Druid. Let's select the base just so that we can see it all as one color. Now down, Guardian. Now what's going to happen? Oh, I'm going to merge him down from the highest to the lowest point. Well, not point, but in the stack here. And he is at 7.433 million polygons. That's quads and triangles both. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Dynamesh it. But not at 768, because this is too much detail for 768. I'm going to Dynamesh it at 1024. Yeah. That brings us to adjusting mesh 3.6. Cut it in more than half by just doing that, and without losing any of the detail that we were worried about. So the next step is we go to Z plugin, Decimation Master. Now I'm going to make this 100,000. No, I'm going to make it 75,000 points and 150,000 triangles, because this is just too detailed for the usual. Looks like it's not going to screw up. Yay! %, as of now. 95. And reordering. Yay! This should take it down to about 150,000 triangles. And we shouldn't be able to tell the difference. And there we go. 150,000 triangles for our Elven Nature Guardian. Let me go ahead and export this. And I'm going to go back down to Patreon Minis, Alaric, and this is simply going to be, oh, no, not new figure. Alaric figure. Nature Alaric figure.obj. Okay, now that's that. And just to give you the full effect, let me go ahead. I'm not going to save the movie, but make sure that when you do a turntable where it says title image, fade in time goes to 0, fade out time goes to 0, overlay image goes to 0. Modifiers, you want the recording and playback to be the same, just because. And then you always set it to document, not window. And I'm just doing large just for the sake of this. There is the Nature Guardian. Bing, bing, bing. So what did y'all think? I love Forged in Fire. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not notice that. I can still modify it. Okay, give me just a second here. What I gotta do, get the move tool, shrink it down quite a bit, and focal shift to 0. And then I'm just gonna grab the alright. Alright, I'm going to grab the tip and bend it back. And then do the same thing to these. And here. Is that better? Or should I pull them back a bit more? Shinju, get over here. Good girl. I still can't believe she answers snap commands. A bit more, okay. Okay. Better? One thing I have to do, I need to go in and find that polygon. Some of these polygons, because they were decimated already, kind of folded on themselves, so I'm just cleaning that up. Not so bad on the bottom ones. How's that? Okay, now let's go ahead and re-export that to nature alarc figure. Save, yes. Alright, and then I need you to, in Discord, DM me your email address. After this is all over, I'm going to be loading that in and copying it over to an STL file. And I'll be sending you both the STL and OBJ as well as a render. And for the next week, only you and I will have Alaric. Next Sunday, he goes into the Patreon file vault. Alrighty? Now I'm going to go ahead and close this down. I do not need Photoshop open anymore. And there we go. No problem. Alright. Now, it is 10:10. And, over here, Fuzzbot. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Anyway. See, all my kitties love me. Yeah. Hey now, right. Oh, you're just gonna do that, aren't you? Yeah. Anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and... Alright, did anyone notice any periods like this afternoon where it went and so I have 3. I have this one. I have Carlton. Come on, little buddy. Yeah, here we go. I have Carlton. And then I have another black cat, which you can tell because he has a red collar. Carlton doesn't. There's other ways to tell, but the easiest way for y'all. But yeah. Ralph is the other one, by the way. The other house panther. Oh, that's not good, TJ. Hopefully not for very long. Anyway, I'm going to hold up my hand, and I'm going to count from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, I say something stupid and go, and that's it. And I log out. So, a refresh of the page to make sure I don't have any lag. And, okay. That's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lag, I spur. I wonder if there's a coincidence. Probably not.